What's up, everybody? It's Bryson Carter from the Journey Podcast. Just wanted to take a minute to clear up the fact that we are not professionals, and what you hear on this podcast is just opinions from people that really inspire me, and hopefully it'll bring the same amount of inspiration to you as well. But if you legit are struggling with depression or how you feel about yourself, please go see a professional. There are professionals out there that can help you, and we are not those professionals. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the podcast, and hopefully you guys can take something away from it that can help you on your day-to-day life journey.
So, um, I think, I think your passions in your life, I think just praying about it, being trustful about it, and trying to use all of the things that you're interested in for a greater purpose, and I know like you've talked a little bit about that before and stuff up here in the green room and stuff. So I absolutely agree with that. And I think the will that God has for your life is just your heart and, loving first, like something the Summit always says a lot of the times, just loving first and being a good person and trying to get your heart in a posture, in a good place.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if that makes any sort of sense, if that answered the question.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
did, but
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. And you said something about a calling. So what was you felt like your calling was 10 years ago? Because I feel like that changes.
yeah, no, I was just about to say, I think a calling, it's funny when I'm praying, on a daily basis, I pray all the time. I always, when I'm, I pray those two separate parts. I pray about the will for my life, God,
Yeah.
please help me, to continue to chase after the posture of my heart and give me the strength and the wisdom, to be a good person, to love first, to choose to love first, be a good disciple. Um, and then the other part of that is the calling part. And it's just like, God, please help me to chase after the callings that you've placed on my life, whether it's day by day, month by month, or year by year. Or for me, for example, I've been lucky and blessed enough to have a calling that has lasted, 10 years of my life from middle school to now being the worship leader for Impact. So just being a student who plays in the band to actually leading the worship, which I already consider two different callings in my life. But it's just like God can call you, like you said, day by day. Like tomorrow, He could call me to go be, you know, a carpenter or whatever, like something completely different from music or worship leading. But it's because God needs to use us wherever He needs to use us, and if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that callings do change day by day, and they can. And sometimes we're lucky enough for them to stay. I think it's like, God has these plans for us to where, for me, being in, at Impact and being in the worship scene for so long was a long-term calling because, I'm very dedicated to it. And, God knows us better than anybody. So I think, He sees whenever we're going to be there. I don't know. He knows where we need to be for however long it needs to be. So,
Absolutely. That's awesome. There's a lot of people who it scares them when that happens. What would you say to those people?
oh gosh. Well, I would say that it's funny because I'm scared of it too.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I feel like because whenever I used to think that a calling on your life in God's will for your life was like all the same thing. It was like God called me to be a worship leader or whatever, and that's my job forever, and that's my thing forever, and I want to do that forever, and I can't leave. And when I started learning about, I'm actually gonna. Oh, my phone's over there.
I wouldn't forget if you need to.
No, I will keep it. We'll keep it rolling. Okay, yeah. But I'll find his name. It's I can't, I'll find it. We'll find it in a little. Yeah. Let me go for it. Let me
You just like.
Let me. I'm gonna go on to Safari. Let me see, Mike. Oh God. Okay. So what were we talking about? We were talking about people who are scared when the calling changes on their life.
Yeah.
So again, I always thought that calling and a will for your life was like intertwined, and it's like God calls me to be this, and that's it forever, and like this is what my calling on my life has been or whatever. When Mike Donnie,
Yeah, we'll go with that.
whatever his name is,
Yeah.
from 10th Avenue North, I came across him one day, and it was just a video of him talking about will for your life and calling on your life, and it's funny because it was just a reel. It was just an Instagram reel that like changed my life. Like it was.
That's awesome.
I started following him and really like listening to like a lot of what he says. But long story short, I felt super convicted because I was like, oh my gosh, like I would be so upset if like the calling on my life changed tomorrow and God was like, you're not going to be a worship leader anymore. You're going to go do something else or work in an office or be a carpenter or do something else. I don't know, whatever it might be. Um, but then, the more and more that I started to think about it, I was like, the more and more you trust God with your life, the more and more happy that you're going to be. And I think, you know, whether God changes the calling on your life or not, the will for your life always stays the same. So, God's will for your life is the posture of your heart. And so, whether you're a carpenter or a painter or a worship leader or a pilot or whatever it might be, you know, always try to find the things that you enjoy to do while meeting the needs for other people and listening to God. But whatever he puts you in, whatever, because he's going to call, that's the thing, is like, he's going to call you to be that thing. So you'll feel that urge and that, that wanting to go do it. But I guess long story short, because I'm no pastor, but but I would say when we're scared about the callings in our life changing or seasons in our life changing or big changes, like for me, even just like my life, like right now, I'm finishing up college. Me and my girlfriend are like really starting to talk about Emily. Yeah, we're starting to talk about, getting engaged and like getting married and like trying to find a house and like start a life. And like, that's terrifying. Like, it's so terrifying because I'm so excited to have my own house. I'm so excited to be married. I'm so excited to have my own kids one day, to like just be like an adult. Like, it sounds fun. It's like ever since you're a kid, you want to just be an adult and like do it. And so it sounds so much fun, but it's also terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the same thing is with callings in our life and things that we do and new jobs that we're called to or new chapters we're called to.
Yeah.
But again, to try my best to tie it all back, I could take some pointers from Jonathan on how to preach, but to try to tie it all back, all of those things are going to change. Like, all of those callings on your life are going to change. The call to be a husband, the call to be a dad, the call to be a pilot, the call to be a worship leader, and then the next day call to be whatever else.
Yeah.
But the will for your life, God's will for your life, which is to always, chase after the posture of your heart, to have a good posture of heart, will always stay the same. So I think that's where I find my confidence. So to answer the question, if you're scared about the callings on your life, my recommendation and my advice and the way that I stay grounded is that the will for your life always stays the same. And if I always anchor myself on that, then I'll be fine. Whatever it is that I'm doing, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think people like take, like you were saying, they kind of think that, because I think a calling and wanting to do something too, you should do what like stuff you want to do. Because there's a lot of people who are afraid to like jump in the water. I know high schoolers right now who they don't know what to do, and so some of them are not doing anything. They're like, I don't know where to go, so we got to jump in somewhere.
No, absolutely, exactly, yeah. It's funny because I struggle with that too sometimes, of just being like I think everybody struggles with that. What do I really want to do? Or what, it's like, I feel like some people are lucky enough to where they have that one thing in mind ever since they were a kid, and then they go to college and they go to school for that one thing, and then they get a job for that one thing, and then they retire as that one thing. But I think, like you said, you got to just find something that you really love. And I think sometimes we overthink that when it comes to like doing things or trying to find a job or trying to, whatever. I think we overthink it. It's just like, what makes you happy? Like, like, what is it? Name something that makes you happy. What do you like to do? Whatever. And so, I've always just loved music. It's just like something I've always loved to do, and I've just been fascinated with it. And yeah, but yeah, I think you're right. You gotta just jump in somewhere. And again, it comes back to that point of, finding again the Mike Doney, whatever his last name is. He said that as well. It's like the calling on your life is, and I hope I'm reciting this correctly, but it's like it's meeting in the middle of what you really love to do and having fun, and then meeting the needs of other people. So if you're just doing what makes you happy, and this is like, by the way, I'm not like, you know, I'm not preaching this right now. This is all verbatim, so I don't want to take credit for any of this. But when you're just doing what makes you happy, and what is fun to you, then, you're being greedy, you're being self-centered,
Yeah.
narcissistic.
Yeah.
But if you're just meeting the needs of other people, and you're just, helping constantly and being a yes man and saying yes all the time, and you're not having fun, and you're not doing the fun things that God has called you to do as well, then now you're just being burned out.
Yeah.
And you're, putting stress on your life, and you're hurting your marriage, you're hurting your relationships with your family, you're hurting your relationships with your friends, you're hurting yourself creatively,
Yeah. Absolutely.
spiritually, and you can even get in a sticky situation there with your faith too, where, you almost think that, oh, well, God is calling me to just always be yes man, and always be helping, and always be there, which there's nothing wrong with helping, but it is, to me, I think the true callings on our life is meeting right there in the middle.
Yeah.
Because that's when we have the best opportunity to, like, have our hearts in a great posture, because we're having fun, but we're also meeting the needs of other people, but we're not having like too much like fun to where it's like, it's not necessarily a amount of fun. It's just, it's your priorities. Like I said, if you're only focused on yourself, you're being a narcissist, right? And you're only being self-centered. But again, if you're focusing just on other people, you're not focusing on yourself enough, or your marriage enough, or your relationships enough. And he actually, it's funny because I didn't even think I was going to talk about him at all. And now I've like centered this entire around a reel, like a 2-minute long reel that I watched. It's awesome. I need to research this guy. You should. I'll send you the video.
Yeah.
Maybe you can link it or something in the bottom of this or whatever. But
Absolutely.
but yeah, he even talked about, so he's in a Christian band called 10th Avenue North, and he talked about how he had that calling on his life to like be in a band, to go out and play and have fun, and spread these songs to people.
Yeah.
But then he was, when he was just focusing on that, he was hurting his relationship with his wife. And he felt convicted to stay home. And again, I'm kind of just saying this off of what I remember from the video, but
Yeah.
he kind of felt convicted to stay home. And he said something along the lines of like, sometimes like the worst no to you is the best no to someone else.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just think it's all about balance. It's all about trying to find that sweet spot in the middle.